Okay, let's talk about the two example projects I made for this course. The two courses I will show you and explain them to you the idea I've been working on and see maybe they can have some inspiration for you. I've just recently finished these two. In my opinion, there's still a lot of room to improve, but it's ready to rush because of my daily job is also very busy. But we can fine-tune this when the courses begin. I don't think the details affect too much about the whole picture. So let's talk about the Venice first. I call it the Venice impression. I began to do this about 2 months ago. More than asking me to think about a topic, so I was searching for inspiration, and I found this old oil painting, which gave me very good inspiration. I was looking for this kind of thing on Pinterest. I think I've seen this before when I was still learning drawing in my high school. I think it's an oil painting. So it's kind of very familiar, and this time I see this old picture at a different time. I want to present it in a new way for everyone. So this is my inspiration source. So according to this, I find a lot more references. I will give it this explanation step by step later. So I see the whole scene first. My computer is a little low end, so it's kind of low performance. Though the FPS rate is a little low. Because this is my computer at home. My computer at work is much better. So this is a realistic thing because the amount of resources is relatively huge. There are a lot of details. Each module built up piece by piece. Is basically a whole building. You can see every window has its own modular pieces. So the whole few shots I made first. This is my first shot. And the second shot is a river, and the third shot is in the square, and we can see our little bridge. So the first shot is the plaza square area. So the main shots are these four, and later I found maybe other shots are kind of okay, and so I took another fifth and the sixth shot. Okay, this is number 6. Okay. Okay, the whole thing, the production idea of this. Okay, this inspiration from this. From based on this map extended, the earliest one I made is I limited this space is about 100 to 100 meters. Because this is FPS map, all the battles should be in the center. In the center should be a river, and this is the shot 1 and the direction of the church. So we cross the bridge to this plaza. Okay, the shot 2 is the river 2 here. It's added later because when I'm doing this, I think it is better to have a river there. So let's follow down the shot and the bottom and shorten them out. The earliest days it was this big, only about 100 and times 100 meters. After things came out, I'm going to build the gray box, white box, blocking out them. We can see them from the blocking. Okay, this is shot 1 and the gray box. It's very quick to do this kind of blocking out steps because I used to be a 2D concept artist, so I can have this composition idea in my head. So blocking out for a scene is very easy for me. For me, if I have an idea in my head, I can quickly draw it on paper. So when I'm doing the art concept art, I think it's a very practice for me. So when I switch to a real engine to do the 3D environmental art, I think the level artist job is kind of easy for me for the beginning part to do the big sketches with the primitive shapes. Okay, this is let's see the whole process of this short one. We can see the changes of the sky. I changed a lot of skies. I think it is in the middle, and adding the details to the buildings, adjust the composition with the whole picture, build the near or the middle or the far scenery, adding details to the adding birds, something like that. Okay, let's see the shot 2. Shot 2, I plan this as the river, a time structure of the Venice. Venice is actually very famous for its river. The whole city is on water, on top of the sea. Let's see shot 3. Source 3 have relatively fewer pictures because I lost some of the snapped pictures. Okay, this is the asset I'm using. This whole building, all the modular I'm putting together according to structure as later. So let's see this, the whole of my thinking process. So I started from the gray box, a white box, and I think the first thing is the inspiration oil painting and my white box. In the beginning, I don't know too much about Venice. I just know some parts of it, sketches of it, partial photos. I don't know anything about its history, so I looked up on internet. I think the earliest history of Venice is from the refugees from Rome because of some war. I think there's a picture I can show you. In the early days, there was some refugee that fly to the plains of the Astarian plain. Let's see on Google Map. Let's see Google Earth. Most of my realistic maps came from Google Earth. Let's see. Some refugees from other place. The flood plain. Let's see. This one is a large swamp on the water. The refugees found it the swamp. It's kind of safe to live there. They put wood paths into the swamp and build up the buildings up. It's kind of easy to defend themselves. Okay, we can see this this map. This is the whole geography from top down. So it's on the south of Alps, near the sea. There's a swamp made by the river. So the earliest inhabitants, just a very small village. They found some wood, placed them, nailed them into the ground. Can build rock buildings. So its geological location is kind of very unique. If there's a wall on the mainland, it is kind of very safe here. So there's nature, defense, water around them, and it became our empire of our city empire. So this is how I start to collect my world view informations from this. And then I was looking for more information, planning to build area like this. Let's see, about 100 times 100. So I want to make scenery beyond 100 times 100 area. So I was searching for where to find some characteristics things of the Venice. So it's kind of very famous of this casino. I remember that in a lot of videos and movies, we can see this landmark. And another thing which is kind of realistic is the river, because we can see a lot of rivers inside the city. And the third thing very famous is the plaza. Let's see all the buildings, what it should be like this. So the earliest idea is about 3 shots. One is looking at the casino, the church, and the second is the river, and the third is see the plaza. So this is the second part of the talk. I got the whole geological views of this world. So I have this impression of it in my head already with these pictures help, maps help. So this is how I gather information. Then I build a scene from it. I think the three-dimensional idea is already there in my head, including many students may receive a level artist test before you get a job. I think it's just like this. They just give you one picture and ask you to recreate it in 3D. So you should have the ability to gather the informations and the reference to help you to build up the worldview. So after 2 steps, the next step, I will start to have some placeholder assets to build them up. Let's come back to this picture. So this is the asset packs I found from other asset packs. I think every building in this picture is from different asset packs. So what's the principle of this combination? We cannot build them up because we all know what this Venice looks like. We all know it should be like. So this very important thing about this, I think you should understand the reason why the buildings is like that. What's the art style of it? When was it built? And what's the color should be? What's the structure should be? All should be based on the real scenarios. Do not make them up. I think there are 2 books I was learning when I was a student. I think the 2 books are a dictionary of Chinese old buildings and Asian Western buildings. These 2 books gives me a lot of foundational ideas about it. So let's see the tiles of the roof. I think they all have its own names about that. Let's see the detail. When I was doing this, I see there's some metal things on the wall. I think it's useful to give it more strength to the structure. It's kind of retainer, give it extra force to prevent it from collapsing because the building is too old, and because of the rise of the sea level, they have some structure improvements of the building, raise it up from the bottom of the water. So you need to understand it, why it is there. You cannot make them up. You need to know the history of it. So I think it's very important. It's relatively like a skeleton of a scene's creation. And so when the players are playing this, all the backstories can hold it up. So let's talk a little bit about that. You don't need to understand it very perfectly, but at least you should know what it should be look like from the outside. Okay, let's move on. Let's see. So the second step is building up the world wheel, and the third one is the structure. What the structure should be like. So I still looking for other references. What is the history of the buildings? So the fourth part, after I finish all the buildings, the fourth part is what we should looking for is during the actual tour of this place. Maybe you have never been to this place, but there are some videos on internet, maybe very high resolution, and some YouTubers will upload them to it. And we can also use Google Maps as the 360 degree views of it. Let's see. We have all the big chunks of the buildings. We have the ideas, what it should be like. And let's see the details of the buildings. What is like all the textures on the wall, and the rain stains, and the fade of the paint of the wall. We can also see another example of Venice. When I was looking at these 360 pictures, they are not roadside. They're just a plain square. But when we see Overwatch map, we can see it has curves inside Overwatch. I think in the game they want to have you this direction following, guiding you to go somewhere. So it may not rely on all the realistic situation. So I think they have this curves is kind of reasonable. It must give some, but the actual Venice square has no curves on this square. So if you're doing a more realistic scene, maybe you should think about the details. Okay, we just talked about the first step and third for the fourth step. The fifth step, adding details. Okay, the last few steps is the color corrections of the scene, post effects of it, and the light adjustments. So when we talk about the lighting, let's take it for example. I have two rectangular lights, the walls, the river decks, because we can see the pictures of Venice. We can see the water is very green. So if the light shines on the river surface, the decks of the river often looks very green, very warm, and we can see there are many orange color buildings. If the sunlight shine on them, it will also bounce off the very warm lights to surrounding areas. So this is the pictures I see when I doing the lighting process. So this is the second shot I made. So the first thing when I just do it, I think the light is very flat. I need to add some lights to it. Right now I hide all the lights around it. I think it's around my center of my vision. It should be a very important place of this picture, of this scene. So I need to light it up a little bit. It's nothing special there when I first look at it. So not particularly striking people to watch. So I manually add more light to this tree and to make it more interesting to look at in the future. When it's brighter than the surroundings, I think you will automatically focus it on it. Looks a little brighter. I think it's better than the original physically kind of correct situation. So we start from the white box and to details and to lighting. I think the whole process is there. If you have time, you should have more details. You should add some assets to it, maybe a little bookshop or stairs or the things, clothes hanging over buildings, and some ivies. Add some furniture, tables, chairs to it. All the ivies here, I think it looks important if you have time. So this is my idea behind the creation of this Venice map. Okay, some students ask me, what is the online resources? What is what you did? So I think what you can see in this map right now, this shot is all from online asset packs. I think I just use 10 different packs to recreate this. I will teach you in the course specifically about how to accomplish your ideas with the help of asset packs, because we don't always have the time to do all the assets. Also some bridge assets. Quicksort bridge is automatically connect to Unreal Engine 5, which is more convenient. But you need to do some treatment of these assets. You cannot just use it from the pack. Some companies ask level artists to have the ability to do the assets, but some companies you do need have to do them yourself. Like Tencent, you have to do them all yourself. But from NetEase or like Mihayo, they're more split into different jobs. Maybe just a 3D environment artist just to do 3D environment asset creation. Level artists only do level art. So different companies has different requirements, but we all should know the basic modeling skills. So let's come back to the first step. When I was thinking about the idea, I was very like this kind of pictures. Okay, these watercolor pictures, I love them because it shows you what you should be focused on, what should be ignored. That you cannot have too much details of a watercolor picture. So when the dark areas you see, there is no details in it. But when you see the rim, the light of a building, the rim lights, it gives you the more detailed ideas. So I really like these British people do their watercolors. So it's kind of like artistic conception. So let's do a demonstration. If this is a water line, maybe we come to a street corner, but there's a iron door. Let's seal it. There both sides of walls you cannot see outside, but you can see through the gate. You can see beautiful outward. I think this is where I want to express myself. I want to use a tip of iceberg. I'd like you to look at the tip of iceberg, but your imagination, is there's a lot more things under the water. So when I do the composition of a shot, I want to use this technique. So you only do small amount of work for this scene, but in player's mind, there's a very big space in player's mind. So this is the things I use about artistic conceptions. Also in the Chinese painting, using ink, we also do this kind of thing. We left the big parts of the picture without anything. Just let your imagination to think about among the fog or the clouds, under the clouds, what should be there. So this is the process of our thoughts. So we do investigation of the history. We do the Google Earth research. We find all different references from different times. We should do this research or preparation. When we have all these supports you will have things in your idea, and you won't be very confused when you do this. There's another thing I want to talk about. When I was tracking the data about this boat, I think I see it in this picture. It's called gondola. The gondola is a long boat with a flat bottom and high part at each end, used on the canals in Venice. Why it is black color? When I searching it, I see there's a historic origin. There used to be a boat in Black Death in Europe. They carried dead bodies indeed, so they carry it into black. So in the present day, still this very dark color of this boat, gondola. So the rest of it is if there's anything I want to talk about you. This is not a little thing. It happens when I was doing. When I was doing these two examples of this to get some information, in my view, it's very important for level artists use this Google Earth help to find the three-dimensional things. I was making another thing. I see Lorenzo Lafroniconi, a very beautiful art he made. I want to find out where the reference, what's this place located in real world. But I see this, it says that you can find it on Como. So I looked up in Google Earth. I really found a place called Como. It is in France. I search. In his depression is on a mountain of Como. So I only have this picture. I don't know where they're really located in the mountain. So I just search around this area. So I see the Alps where it should be. I think it should be maybe along the river. I think it should be just on the north of the mountain, on the north of the Como. And I see there is place. I think it's a church. It's kind of familiar with this, but when I roll down my wheel, I think I found out where his angle. I think it's practical. If you have a picture, people ask you to recreate a scene, you should have similar ability to find out the good references. So I come back to his artstation page. I think there are some other arts that he made also based on this location. I think this is a way to this church. So let's see. There's another picture that about the stairs. It's from here. And in this dark area, inside it, we cannot see too much details. But there's a little bridge among the rocks and trees. So he was doing the arts around this place. Looks like terrace, and you should just take the picture from this road. So this is the thing I meet when I was doing my two scene creation. So we can put a man on the road. So let's see whether we can see. So this very good reference. So I think it's like I make a tour to this place. I didn't finish this scene in Unreal Engine because I don't have enough time. I think that's all for this. So as level artists, we should be able to find the geological positions and global cultural things. You should be able to search them out. Maybe you cannot have the privilege to go to there directly, but you can make a digital tour using Google Earth to see these places.